Well, hey everybody, we're about to embark on our biggest project yet. I'm going to put a cover over our back patio and car parking area. We've had the slab built for about a year now, and the poles have been up for about the same amount of time. You've probably seen them in the background of other videos. It's pretty windy today, so I'm not going to do that filming right now, but I'll jump to it in a second of showing you the example I'm modeling it off of and then where it's going to go. Before I get there though, I just want to say a big thanks. Our son was just born 3 weeks ago, so we got a 3-week-old baby in here. I just want to say thank you to everybody for coming out and visiting with us. It was great to have family and friends come over and get to spend time with him and us during this big time. But we're finally getting back in the swing of things. You know, we're still a little sleep deprived and figuring out the schedules, but we're on a better footing now. So I'll start posting more and more videos in the coming weeks. All right, cool. Well, let's jump over and I'll show you what I'm modeling the trusses after, and then where I'm going to build it. And then we'll jump into the first step of this project. All right, see you over there. Well, this video is getting pretty long, so I decided to put that intro video separately. It's posted up here. Feel free to go watch that and then come on back to this one. All right, well, the first major step is to cut down this 5 by 10 foot sheet. It's 3 30-seconds thick, down into strips for the cups for the 2x8 lumber to fit in. I did the math, and I'm going to end up cutting it just shy of 6 inches wide and 9 inches long. Then from there, we'll then drill holes in 4 corners where the screws will go in, and at the end of it, we're going to figure out how to bend it into place. It was just, less than 10, I'll probably get a hammer out and just hammer them in, but with it being 100, 130, I got to make a we got to make a jig to do that. All right, let's get cutting this up. So basically what I've done here is just to make a guide for my plasma cutter. I needed some tabs I need to hold this down on the sheet this way for the guide. I need some tabs to actually clamp it down to the sheet metal. Because I have them on the end, I then put some spacers here so it doesn't bow in the middle like that. I made sure they cleared them off, so this angle iron edge is the edge that will ride all the way down, so it should be smooth. Hopefully it works. Let's go try it out. Alright, well, I got all the pieces cut on the plasma cutter, at least the strips, and now I need to cut them down into sections. I'm definitely not the best plasma cutter. I got a lot of things to learn about. Some of it was actually my skill level of just a steady hand, but also my air compressor can't quite keep up with the demand. And I probably need to take more breaks in between each cut. And so some spots it didn't blow all the way through and I had to go back over it, which then made kind of a little bit of a wonky line. But you know, it's gonna work well enough for what we're doing with it. But definitely need a lot more practice if I'm gonna make anything that looks, you know, pretty. All right, well, let's get to cutting them down the shape. All right, well, let's cut them down to length. Well, it's a beautiful cut, but took entirely way too long. Here's how much time it took. I have about 20 of these pieces to do, times 5. That's about this much time. So let's switch gears. I'll make a jig and then go back to using the plasma cutter. All right, well, just had a different thought. I was about to start making that jig we just talked about a second ago and had an idea. I have to drill 4 holes in each one of these pieces. And so since this bandsaw is basically, once I set it up, I just stand back and let it go, I can be drilling the holes while this is going. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that, see if it kind of you know, helps manage my time better. If it works out well, I'm gonna keep going with it. If not, I'll go back to make that jig for the plasma cutter and then just drill the holes at a later date. All right, well, let's see how it works out. All right, well, I think that's my jam for the next 4 or 5 hours. Got 4 holes drilled in this plate while this one's being cut. I think that might work out pretty well. All right, turn the podcast on, I'm gonna get to it. See you on the other side. All right, well, I've got all the pieces cut right here, about 120 of them, with 4 holes drilled and all of it. Next step is to actually make the cup aspect of it, bending the shape to where the lumber will fit right in there. Obviously it's gonna be I say obviously, but it's gonna be a 2x8 piece. This is just my spacer here to make sure stuff fits in. So to do that, I went ahead and made a jig right here. Basically, it's just made out of 2x2 angle iron, and then I cut down one side of 2x2 here to perfectly fit in 2 pieces. And the lumber, right? So it's working pretty well. In the press I bought. However, although it does make the shape really well, it does take a while to line it up. With it being 120 pieces, I should probably make it easier to line up each time. So what I'm gonna do is I'll make some better guide rails here. I'll make it better fit in the press and not move around, and stuff like that. So that's the next step when we get to making that, and then we'll just watch me press 120 pieces into shape. All right, well, let's get to it. Alright, well, I pretty much pressed all of them. I got one left. I want to show you something I learned along the way with this press jig to maybe help you all out. It might save you some time, maybe some headaches. Let me pull you in closer. So it's very helpful that I have the jig made up to make it lined up pretty easily. That's a very nice benefit with the straight edge right here. Along with these vertical guides to keep it in place. Alright, so we're fully engaged. The main thing I learned is that I made this too tall. I'm going to show you what I mean in a second. So right now I'm applying a lot of pressure to it. Not a lot, but a significant amount. And right about here, it gets a whole lot easier to start moving down, which means that the majority of the bending of 90 degrees is done within like the first 1/4 inch, maybe 1/2 inch. All right. So all right now, this whole entire time, there's not really much work being done at this moment, but I'm cranking quite a bit. I got to go down a whole inch before I hit the bottom down here. So now we're fully engaged at the bottom, and we're bending at that last little cup part on the bottom of this press. It takes 3 or 4 cranks to get a very nice bend along there. So let me pull it out and bring it back up for you. 1 second. So now I have a very, pretty sharp angle for the lumber to sit in. But again, the main lesson I learned here is I probably could have made this jig not fully 2 inches tall, maybe 1 inch tall, so that there's not all that wasted time of cranking down in here. Again, it's not a lot of effort because there's really not much force going into the pump, but I move my arm up and down, taking energy up, wasting time. So there's a lesson learned. You don't have to make your jig quite as tall as I did here to get the same result. Alright, well, I hope that was helpful. Up next video, I think I'm going to make the jig for the actual trusses themselves. It's mostly going to be out of lumber, so I have some 2x4s and some plywood. I'm going to lay everything out there, put some stops in it, so once I cut the metal, I can just lay it in place, know it's perfectly aligned, and weld her up. Alright, till next time, y'all come back now.